good was it to see the team back out there and dominate like they did?
Yeah, it was fun to get everyone out there on the field again. It's not very often you have the opportunity to play 27 people in a game, so it was nice to rotate everyone through, and then also just to kind of shake the dust off, get the spider webs out for our starting group, and be able to kind of work through our new offense. Get all of our new defensive parts together. We've made a lot of changes from last year on what we're doing strategically, so this was kind of a good opportunity to do that. But I'm really grateful for Aquinas College for coming up. They have a first-year head coach. They're traditionally a pretty good program, and I'm sure we'll build it back soon. But overall, just a really great day of lacrosse. Everybody leaves happy when you win by 21. So.
Starting the season, all at home. I mean, how is that helpful for you guys to, kind of get your feet under you here in the beginning of the season?
For sure. We're pretty spoiled in that lacrosse is an outdoor sport most places, and here we have the world's largest wooden dome. You get to play inside, and it's always 70 and sunny. And it's something that does draw other teams to come and play here because there's a lot of Midwest teams that either it's too cold to play outside or they have too much snow. So this time of year, we've traditionally been able to get a few home games, and then this year we just really were able to get a ton, which is nice. We traditionally play really well at home just because we have so many odd home court advantages in the dome. Obviously, we don't have to travel, and our travel is what it is in northern Michigan, but also like the turf rolls differently than other turfs for lacrosse, so the ball is harder to predict. It bounces different for goalkeepers, and then the lights are a little different. So all of that sort of advantage takes place. Plus the game day atmosphere is really fun. They can get their friends out to games. We had a ton of parents here last weekend. It's the most home games we've ever had as a program, and it's the most we've ever had in a row this year. So the team's really looking forward to it, especially coming off a year where we only had 5 home games because of a team folding in our conference. So this contrast is pretty significant.
We talked last week a lot about Minnie and how she's already broken records. She's going to break more
Yep.
As the season goes on. But I mean, she's leading goal scorer this past Saturday. I imagine it's good to get her going early in the first game. And what else did you see from everyone else who contributed on Saturday?
Yeah, I think Minnie got her goals, yes, but a lot of Minnie's goals were off of assists from either new players or players that weren't in the rotation as much last year that needed to step up, and she kind of was that window that was able to be fed to. So that was a really big thing for her. Obviously, like, she's our best player. She's a generational talent to have on this team, but I thought she really opened the door to allow some of our younger talent to work well with her, and that allowed some different people to score. I thought our freshman, Josie Lakowski, had a really great game. I think she had a hat trick and an assist. I think she had more than one assist, but you never know. She worked particularly really well with another one of our freshmen, Avery, in the 2-man game, and so did her and Minnie worked really well, and I was really excited to see that. She has a great point guard vision. She played a lot of basketball. Plus, that kind of same thing applies to lacrosse. Great lacrosse IQ, can see the field in a way that a lot of people can't. So she's going to be a huge contributor this year, and just to see her get going in the first game was huge. Caitlin Bridger had a great game, 4 assists. She always is finding a way to kind of pull people to her and feed. So I thought this game was important that even though we did have a lot of people score, played almost everybody, played everyone that was eligible, we still didn't have a lot of unassisted goals, at least not traditionally unassisted, like they weren't ISO drives. And I think that's the way you want to start your season if you are going to play in a game like this. You want to move the ball, you want to see what your offense can do, and you want to force people to do that harder thing, which is to score off assists.
Yeah. Lewis and Quincy coming in here this weekend, what do you know about those two teams, and is there going to be any adjustment to playing now 2 games in a weekend health-wise?
For sure. There's definitely an adjustment. We've already had some injuries, so we got to overcome that. And 2 games in a weekend, it's kind of a good first test of fitness as we play three games the next weekend. Lewis has a returning 5th year who's a midfielder of the year in the GLVC. She's a great player, uniquely very physically strong and quick. So that'll kind of be a tough challenge for our defense, just guarding that midfield powerhouse. they had a first-year head coach last year, and she has really taken recruiting seriously, and they're definitely starting to build as a program in a way that they hadn't before. So I'm excited to kind of see that competitive step in the GLVC. So it'll definitely be a different level of competition. I expect to make some adjustments just because we're going to see more pressure than we did in the last game. So it's more of a we actually have to we're going to run our offense. We're going to have to look at different options than the first. I think it'll be a good test that way to kind of raise our intensity to what we need to be at for the rest of the season. And then Quincy also has some returning talent. They have a really good transfer student who's now in her second year, who reminds me a lot of a player that's on my team named Abby. But she's really good at feeding, but also she's kind of she posts up in the middle. She can catch and shoot from anywhere. Really high lacrosse IQ. So that's an interesting, very different challenge to guarding like a very quick north-south downhill sprinter midfielder to then someone that's more of like a post power player. So we're going to have to make that adjustment from Lewis to Quincy, which will be kind of interesting. Quincy's coach has done a great job. Every year they've gotten better. They play with a lot of intensity. They have a recruiting class that includes a couple people from Minnesota, and as a school that recruits almost all of our kids from Minnesota, they definitely have some relationships with those people on that team, and I think that'll add to the intensity. Quincy always plays really hard, so I think that'll be a really good challenge for us too. It's two relevant Midwest opponents that will set the tone kind of for how we can carry into that coming week. It's important that we're able to execute the way that we need to early. Like, we need to show up this weekend. It's very important that we run everything right. Our defense shows up how they're supposed to, and we stick to our game plan. We obviously won by a lot last weekend, but rewatching that film, our starting defensive group and our starting attacking group, they didn't play down, but they're not quite at the standard we wanted them to be at. There were still things to work on, and I really want to hammer home to them, like, this is what we do now. This is the minimum expectation of effort and intensity, and I think this is a good opportunity for them to do that this weekend.
Cool.